Hello and welcome to Wada Wonderful World. I am Monica Wada and today I'm making this caramelized white chocolate filled with salted caramel and dark chocolate ganache. I also top them with French macarons. I already have a recipe for macarons. I'm going to leave a link on the description below. I'm going to show you how I made them. Let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is to melt a little bit of cocoa butter. The temperature has to reach around 45 degrees Celsius. I have divided them between two containers and I decided to color one orange and the other one yellow. And when you color cocoa butter, you have to use an oil-based food coloring. So because I made a very small amount, I didn't want to put it in my blender, and that means the color didn't actually mix very well. So ideally you want to make a little bit more, because of course you can keep it for next time. After you color the cocoa butter, you need to add tempered white chocolate. I melt my chocolate in the microwave, but you can use a double boiler. If you melt it in the microwave, make sure you stir it every 20 seconds. For white chocolate, you can reach up to 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. I always try to reach around 45, so just be careful not to pass too much over 50 so you don't burn your chocolate. And then to cool it down, my favorite method at the moment, it's been using an ice bath. If you're using an ice bath, just make sure that you don't get any water in your chocolate, otherwise you're just gonna destroy your chocolate. And from here you want to reach around 26 to 27 degrees. I mean, sometimes I go like 28, but yeah, if you want to do a really good job at tempering, do around 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. If your chocolate cools down too much, you can put it back either in the microwave for only, mine I only do it a second or two because my microwave is actually quite strong, or the double boiler for a very little bit until the temperature goes back to 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. I added half of my white chocolate on the yellow color and half on the orange, and definitely the yellow looked much nicer. Only afterwards, when I finished making the egg, the orange food powder dissolved into the chocolate, so I put that away for another time. After I mixed the white chocolate, I made sure that the chocolate was still tempered. Make sure that your chocolate mold is completely clean and dry, and then you can do any design that you like. I'm using this Caramilk chocolate, which is my absolute favorite chocolate, but you can use any chocolate, and also the colors, you can choose any color that you like. This is exactly the same as the white chocolate, and I forgot to say that after you bring the temperature to 26 to 27 degrees, you can bring it up again. For the working temperature for white chocolate or colored chocolate is 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. It's a good idea to always clean the excess of chocolate that you get around the chocolate mold. For this size egg, I have used 250 grams of chocolate. Ideally, if you have one of these chocolate egg molds that there is a marking that tells you how much chocolate that you have to put in it, but yeah, you can see how much, a couple of tablespoons, and then you can get the excess off if you need to. And also I had to make 2 layers, so once I did my first layer, I put it in the fridge for 10 to 15 minutes, and then I did a next one, and also to make sure that the chocolate was going to be thick enough to be handled. After you do the first layer, keep it in the fridge upside down with a piece of baking paper underneath. Also get the excess off so you get a cleaner border. When you do your second layer, you will notice that the chocolate will set much faster because the chocolate is already cold, so it won't get as a cleaner finish. But try to smooth it out the inside as best as you can. medium heat, you can add 50 grams of butter with 1 can of condensed milk. You actually don't need this much. I ended up making too much, but I mean, I use this for a dessert. So if you like, you can make either half or a quarter of this recipe because you won't need very much for the egg. I have added a teaspoon of vanilla extract with the seeds. Keep mixing until the consistency goes a little bit thicker. Meanwhile, if you can multitask, apparently I can't because I let the other one go lumpy. So you can do this afterwards. So you will need a cup of caster sugar with a quarter cup of water. When the sugar have dissolved, start mixing and leave that until you get that nice caramel color. Turn the heat off and add 1/3 of a cup of cream and 50 grams of butter. Back on the condensed milk. When the mixture goes back slowly like that, the mixture is ready. If you want, you can make it a little bit thicker, but I want it to be runny when I cut the egg, so you can choose the consistency that you like. I have added a can of reduced cream, and because I forgot to stir, the mixture was a bit lumpy, so I just strained it. For some decoration on top, I decided to make French macarons. I already have a recipe on my channel. I'm gonna leave a link on the description below. The only difference this time is that the temperature of my oven, I left it quite low on 125 degrees Celsius, but you can try at home and see how it works for you on a lower or a little bit higher, like 150 degrees. When the eggs are ready, don't leave it in the fridge for very long, so only until the chocolate is set, and they should come out from the mold pretty easily. For the middle of the egg, I made a bit of like a sponge, so you need 6 egg whites. After you beat the egg whites for a little bit, add 90 grams of caster sugar, but add them in 3 parts. After you beat the egg whites until they're soft peaks, add 3 egg yolks, but add them one at the time. Sift 6 tablespoons of plain flour. Add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 50 grams of oil. Fold everything gently and place it on a baking tray lined with baking paper. That goes in the oven on 200 degrees Celsius for 8 to 10 minutes or until the top is golden. For our dark chocolate ganache, you'll need 150 grams of dark chocolate. I always like to chop the chocolate small or grate it because again you want to melt the chocolate gently. After the chocolate have melted, I add cold cream. Sometimes if the chocolate is not hot enough, the cream doesn't mix as well. So all I do is that I put it in the microwave for about 5 seconds and I find that the chocolate sets much faster. After the sponge cools down, I cut it about the size that I needed. To start with, I added that condensed milk mixture at the bottom of the egg. Then I added the sponge. When the caramel cooled down, I added half a teaspoon of salt. Today I'm making